There are stories whispered in hushed voices, tales that don't end when the night is over, and they all began with someone who thought they were safe. As you listen, pay attention to the one moment in each story where everything shifts, the moment where a normal night becomes the last night someone remembers. Nina worked the late shift at a small gas station off a quiet highway. Most nights were uneventful, a few travelers, some truckers, nothing strange. But one night, around 1:45 a.m., a car pulled in. Old, dusty, no plates. A man stepped out, tall, thin, wearing a hood pulled low. Something about him didn't feel human, but Nina couldn't explain why. He walked in slowly and stood in front of the counter without saying a word. "Can I help you?" she asked. The man tilted his head like he was learning the movement for the first time. Then he whispered, "You've seen me before." Her stomach dropped. His voice wasn't right. Every word sounded like it was spoken through someone else's throat. She insisted she had never seen him, but he kept repeating, "You've seen me before. You just don't remember the night." He placed something on the counter. A wallet. Her wallet. The one she lost months ago after a late-night shift. "I found you in your car," he said. "You were asleep. You never woke up." She froze. "What do you mean I never woke up?" The man slowly lifted his hood. Nina didn't scream. She couldn't. The man's face was a copy of hers. Not a doppelganger. A mask of her face, stretched and fitted over something else entirely. It grinned, and the teeth underneath weren't human. "You woke up the next day," it said, "but not as you." He stepped backward toward the door. "You're the last customer tonight," he added. "Follow me home when you're ready." The lights flickered. The man walked into the darkness. And when the headlights outside went out, she knew something had taken her identity, and the real her was still out on that highway. Maya worked the closing shift at a small family restaurant off a quiet highway. She'd done this shift for months, mopping floors, wiping counters, locking up by 2 a.m. She was used to being alone, but one night around 1:37 a.m., she noticed something strange. The dining room lights flickered, only for a second, just enough to make every shadow stretch a little too far. She brushed it off and kept cleaning. But then from the far corner booth, the one no one ever sat in, she heard the faint clatter of silverware. She froze. All the tables had been cleared. No one should be back there. She leaned around the corner. The booth was empty, but the fork was now lying in the middle of the table. She hadn't touched it. Trying not to freak out, Maya went to put it back in the bin. But when she reached for it, she saw something carved into the table wood. "Don't turn around." Her heart pounded. She was alone. The doors were locked. No customers in sight. She turned slowly anyway. Nothing. Just empty tables, dim lights, silence. She tried to shake it off, texting her manager a picture of the carving. But, as the message sent, a soft voice came from the kitchen doorway. "Excuse me, are you still open?" She jumped. A man stood there, tall still, wearing a dark coat. But something about him was wrong. He wasn't casting a shadow. Maya cleared her throat. "We're closed, sir. I didn't hear you come in." He tilted his head slowly, unnaturally slow. "I've been here the whole time. You just didn't look at me." She backed toward the counter. "Sir, you need to leave." The lights flickered again, hard this time, and for a split second the man vanished. When the lights steadied, he was suddenly sitting in the carved booth. Maya's breath hitched. "How did you—" He tapped the table once, then whispered, "Join me." Maya stepped back. The air around her felt colder. She reached into her pocket to call 911, but her phone buzzed first. Unknown number one image received. She unlocked it. The picture showed the restaurant, taken from behind her, just seconds ago. But behind her, in the photo, was a face. Wide, gray, eyes too large, mouth too open. Not the man. Something else. She dropped the phone and ran toward the back exit, footsteps pounding across the tile. She hit the door, but it wouldn't budge. Then she heard it, breathing, right behind her. Wet, slow, hungry. She didn't want to turn around, but she knew the thing wanted her to. The lights flickered again. And on the final flicker, she saw a reflection in the stainless steel fridge door. A monstrous face inches behind her shoulder, pale as bone, eyes bulging, smile splitting impossibly wide, teeth jagged like broken glass. It whispered, "Your shift isn't over." And the last thing she saw before the lights blew out was its face lunging forward in the reflection. Emma moved into a quiet, older building in a city full of noise. For once in her life, she wanted peace. And this apartment felt like a fresh start. The only odd thing was the unit above hers. The landlord said it was empty, going through long-term renovations. But every night at 2:14 a.m., Emma heard footsteps, slow, dragging, almost uncertain. At first, she brushed it off as pipes or settling wood, until the night she heard weeping. It wasn't faint, it wasn't distant. It sounded like someone sitting right above her, crying into the floor. The next morning, she asked her landlord again. He insisted, "No one is upstairs. I'm the only one with a key." That night, Emma stayed awake on purpose. The weeping started again, but this time it was followed by a faint thump, like someone falling. She grabbed a broom and tapped the ceiling. The crying stopped instantly. Silence. Then 3 slow knocks tapped back from inside the ceiling. Emma froze. Every hair on her arms lifted. She backed away, reaching for her phone, when something new happened. She heard footsteps, but not above her anymore. Inside her hallway. She peeked through her door's peephole. Nothing. But she could hear someone standing there, their breathing, heavy, shaky, as if their face was pressed against her door. Emma backed away, locked herself in her room, and didn't sleep. The next morning, she told the landlord again. This time, he looked pale. He finally admitted something. Years ago, a woman lived in the upstairs unit. She suffered from severe depression, and no one checked on her for weeks. When they finally entered her apartment, she was gone. But the entire room was covered in deep fingernail scratches around the vent, the closet, the floor, as if she were trying to get out. Emma didn't believe in ghosts before, but that night, when she heard the crying again, she pressed her ear to the ceiling. And this time, the voice whispered, "Please, let me in." She didn't sleep another night in that apartment. The landlord didn't question her early move-out, but every tenant after her swears the same thing. The footsteps always come at 2:14 a.m., and they always stop, right above the bed. These stories stay with you because they could happen anywhere. If you want more stories like this, let me know which one chilled you the most. Sleep tight